Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to dive right into one of aviation's most fascinating geographical puzzles. So if you've ever looked at that little in-flight map on a long-haul journey, you've probably noticed something kind of strange. The world's largest body of water sits right there, seemingly begging for a straight shot across, and yet commercial airlines go to incredible lengths to avoid it. Today, we're going to uncover exactly why planes actively steer clear of the Pacific Ocean, looking at the hard data and the mapping principles that actually dictate global travel. Okay, let's dive into this. The Pacific Ocean separates the Americas from Asia and Australia, and its sheer scale is honestly terrifying. We're talking about a body of water so unimaginably vast that it literally covers more surface area than all of the Earth's land masses combined. Wrap your head around that for a second. So the natural question here is, why do flight paths intentionally avoid flying straight across it? If you're trying to get from North America to Asia, drawing a straight line right over the water just seems like the most obvious, direct choice, right? Well, as we'll see in aviation, the obvious choice is rarely the correct one. Now, there is a pretty profound irony in the ocean's name itself. The term Pacific was actually given by early explorers because it translates to peaceful. But as the historical data and environmental realities of this region show us, that is a massive, massive contradiction. In reality, this body of water serves as a highly volatile, actively hostile obstacle for global commercial aviation. Trust me, it is anything but peaceful. And understanding that hostility is our very first step to unraveling this whole flight path mystery. Let's look at Section 1, the flat map illusion and deceiving geometry. Think about the map you probably had on your classroom wall growing up. When we look at a standard 2D flat map, a flight route that hugs the coastlines of Alaska and Russia looks like a massive, totally inefficient curve. It honestly looks like a huge detour. But when we transition our thinking to a 3D globe, everything changes. Because the Earth is a sphere, that apparent curve is actually the shortest physical distance between those 2 points. Our trusty flat maps completely distort the reality of our planetary geometry. Listen. Aviation is an industry built entirely on efficiency. Every single minute in the air and quite literally every single drop of fuel counts. Airlines prioritize this mathematically shorter, curved northern route for one simple reason. It saves immense amounts of time and fuel. It's a brilliantly calculated path. By flying closer to the poles instead of straight across the equator, airlines are essentially cutting the corner of the globe. So yeah, it's not a detour at all. It's the ultimate shortcut. But hold on a second. Geometry and fuel efficiency, that's really only part of the equation here. We have to pivot from the fascinating math of the globe to the high-stakes reality of human survival. Because what happens if something goes critically wrong mid-air? When you are 35,000 feet up in the sky, efficiency totally takes a backseat to safety. Which brings us to Section 2, Nowhere to Land. Safety over open water. The Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, dictates these flight paths using a really strict safety standard known as ETOPS. That stands for Extended Range Twin Engine Operational Performance Standards. One of its absolute most crucial mandates is that an aircraft must always remain within a safe, calculable distance of an emergency runway. You can't just fly a plane into a vast abyss without a solid backup plan. These rigorous ETOPS regulations ensure that no aircraft is ever too far from a safe landing spot in the event of a critical failure. Picture this. You're cruising along and suddenly there's a severe medical emergency mid-flight or an unexpected mechanical failure. The standard emergency protocol requires pilots to declare an emergency, immediately locate the nearest landmass, and divert the plane safely. Now, imagine trying to execute those exact steps while flying straight over the dead center of the Pacific Ocean. You'd be stranded for hours with absolutely nothing but thousands of miles of deep, dark water beneath you. It's a terrifying scenario, and it's exactly why airlines actively engineer their routes to avoid it. So the really crucial takeaway here is that those curved northern routes do so much more than just save fuel. By hugging the coastlines of North America, stretching way up through Alaska, and coming back down along the coast of Asia and Japan, these paths guarantee a continuous lifeline of diversion airports. Planes are deliberately kept within a safe, heavily monitored radius of emergency landing strips. If something goes wrong, you know a safe runway is relatively close by. Moving on to Section 3, the Ring of Fire and Hostile Environments. The Pacific Ocean is literally framed by the most geologically active border in the entire world. Pilots must constantly monitor and navigate around some truly terrifying natural phenomena out there. We are talking about active tectonic plates triggering sudden earthquakes, extreme and unpredictable weather systems popping up over the open water, tsunamis, and, most crucially for aviation, highly active volcanoes. Now, airborne volcanic ash isn't just regular smoke. It's actually made of tiny, jagged particles of rock and glass. Think about that. If a plane flies through a volcanic ash cloud, those particles melt inside the extreme heat of the jet engines, coating the internal mechanics with literal liquid glass, which then cools and solidifies. This can cause immediate, catastrophic engine failure mid-flight. So yeah, avoiding these unmonitored, active zones over the deep ocean is absolutely paramount. It's a matter of life and death. And it's not just the ground below that's treacherous, it's the air itself. Powerful atmospheric currents known as jet streams heavily dictate how routes are planned. Flying east can be incredibly advantageous, as planes ride these high-speed tailwinds to boost their speed and save fuel. But flying west across the Pacific, that often means battling severe turbulence and really aggressive headwinds. It makes a direct over-ocean path simply too dangerous, wildly turbulent, and incredibly inefficient. But of course, there are exceptions. Section 4. The exceptions. Direct ocean crossings. In aviation, necessity often drives innovation. While a standard route from the U.S. to mainland Asia can easily take advantage of that coastline shortcut we just talked about, some flights just can't. Direct flights connecting places like Australia to Los Angeles or Tokyo directly to L.A. have absolutely no choice. Because of where they sit on the map, they literally cannot hug a northern coastline. They simply must conquer the vast expanse of the open ocean directly. To pull off these rare transoceanic routes legally and safely, airlines have to meet some mind-blowing engineering standards. The FAA only permits specific, highly advanced aircraft models to fly these routes. We're talking absolute marvels of engineering, like the Boeing 777 and 787, or the Airbus A350 and A380. These specific planes are equipped with massive fuel reserves that far exceed standard requirements. They have dual engine redundancy and the highest possible ETOPS safety ratings to guarantee they can survive hours away from any potential landing strip. So that empty space over the Pacific Ocean on your flight map, it isn't an accident, and it certainly isn't an inefficiency. The next time you look at that little screen on the back of the seat in front of you, just remember, you aren't seeing a detour, you are seeing a calculated masterpiece of planetary geometry and uncompromising human safety. Makes you wonder, right? What other invisible safety nets are guiding your journey while you sleep comfortably at 35,000 feet? Thank you so much for exploring this with us.